Call this beat Will Smith, cause it slaps hard. This guy wrote me a question about a girl he's been seeing for a while now, and they've been on 3 dates so far. And so his question is, he says, hey, Harry, I went on a 3rd date with this girl, and it was really great. He says the way that she acts and how the things she says on our dates shows extremely high interest. And he goes into various reasons of why that is. And then one of the things she said was that she bet him during their mini golf date that if she won, she got to plan the next date. She's always saying how much fun she has, drives her crazy, all this other stuff, right? So far, so good. He says, I don't text her when we're away, and she always responds and answers my calls. But the only time she initiates contact is on the day of our dates to confirm that we're still on, which is perfect. Like, I know sometimes in the days of texting today, we think that, man, a woman should be texting us all the time, or else I'm not gonna be able to tell if she likes me or not. Well, A, some women are more traditional. B, some women, much like me, for example, like I don't like texting all that much as a guy. So surprise, surprise, some women also just don't like texting a lot. And they also recognize that as long as he's asking me on dates and I'm saying yes, we should be good, right? Like he should know by me saying yes to an actual date, like, yes, I want to see you in person, that not texting him outside of that doesn't mean I have low interest. It could just mean that I just don't really text a whole lot, right? So he says, maybe she mirrors me and doesn't text because I don't text myself and want this to be a more traditional, she wants to be more traditional where I contact her to ask her out, which is fair. Yeah, in the beginning, you're going to be seeing a woman ideally once a week, at most maybe twice, but it should start at once a week until she starts wanting to up the ante, right? And so in the beginning, you shouldn't be assuming that either one of you are going to be spending long hours on end testing each other or seeing each other all the time. Like that's just not a realistic way to look at these various scenarios, you know? So with that said, he says, that being said, I'm a little confused after last night. I called her to set up our 4th date. I asked her out on a date for tomorrow, but she's got a family thing planned. I said the only other night I had available was Thursday, in which she said she had a networking event that night and that the whole week was busy, including a minor surgery on Saturday. I said, I guess we'll have to plan for another time. And she said, how about the week after? So this guy is in a situation where he's thinking, okay, I've now expressed like 2 different days I could see her, and both times she said that she can't do it. This is a bad thing. But what do I tell you guys? I tell you guys something I learned from Doc Love, which is counter offer. If the woman counter offers a day and time to see you, then that means that she's still in your good graces for now. Like, I know as guys, we're like, but I already like her and I want to be able to see her as much as possible. And if I don't get to see her all the time, then she's going to lose interest and she's going to start, what's going on? The reality is, guys, sometimes women are legitimately busy. You know, this woman in this case, she had gotten back from a trip and, you know, she gets back. So she has to catch up on work. They still managed to have a date in spite when she got back, right? And so if she has, keep in mind, they just started dating. When you start dating a woman, she probably has a calendar set up of things she's already planned to do, in part because she didn't expect to meet anybody. And so she didn't like, women are going to just leave their lives open. Like, well, if a guy comes into the room, I'll just get rid of all my plans, or I won't plan anything. So when a guy comes in, he'll have full reign and access to me. The reality is sometimes women actually have a calendar and they have a life going on. And sometimes that means that as much as you want to see her, she might not be able to see you at all the times that you want to see her. All we care about is, did she counter offer? So did she counter offer? So she said, how about the week after? So in my head, that reads as, oh, she still wants to see this guy, just things were scheduled, things are happening. And so it is what it is, right? But a woman that wants to see you and is not trying to drag you along will always say, but I can see you this time. I can see you on this week. Let me know. I'll let you know that I'm free for this week. What's good for you, right? So as long as that's happening, that means that you're good. And again, in the beginning, we don't need her to have a very high level of interest. We just need it high enough for her to want to be able to go on dates with you consistently. So all the things she said on the dates about you guys she's great and she has so much chemistry with you, yada, yada, yada. All that stuff rings true. Just because she can't see you as often right in the moment doesn't mean that those things are not true or any less true. It just means she's busy. This is not a case where she's trying to pull away to test you. It's a case where she's busy. She gave you a counter offer, which lets you know that she's busy and still wants to see you. You're still good. But anyway, so he said, I said we can do Monday, March 11th, which she which she did respond was a long ways away. So that indicates that she wants to see you. Like, it sucks that you can't see her for, like, I'm doing this show on February 26th, or what day is this? Yeah, 27th. So you can't see her for like 2 weeks. Newsflash, guy, sometimes that just happens. When my parents were dating, they dated for like 5 months, and this is back in 1977. So my dad had to go away for like a year to Korea because he's in the Army. He went away for a full year, came back, and then married my mom like 2 weeks later. So his like for my mom didn't go away just because he was gone for a while. I've had women where it's been years between when I took them on a date and then took them on another date, and we get back together, chemistry's still there, hookups still happen, all that stuff, right? So I say this to say, in the grand scheme of time, 2 weeks is not a long time. If you end up with somebody for 30, 40, 50 years, 2 weeks is like that, like a drop in the bucket. It's nothing. So I know it feels like a lot more because it's so early in your dating situation with this woman. But again, it seems far, but that's actually a good thing. Like, it builds up more anticipation, if anything else. So it's not a bad thing if you have to wait a couple of weeks before you can see her again. That's regular. That happens quite often, okay? Continuing, he says, we made plans for then, but they're tentative because I'm going to take her to a play and she wants to confirm before I get tickets. Nope. Now, this is where this guy's really starting to mess up, because here's the thing. As a guy, it is always your responsibility when you suggest a date to have all the details of that date ready to go. And more importantly, you want her to be able to say, okay, I can definitely make that. The worst mistake you could ever make is making tentative plans and then saying, well, we'll wait to make the rest of them later for sure. Like, no, like, especially with things like plays, sporting events, anything that requires a ticket, you never know if that thing's going to sell out last minute and then you miss out. Because let's say last minute, it's like, oh, I can't make it. And now you want to go buy a ticket because you still want to go and you can't. And I've had that happen. I've told that story on here before. I got to almost see Prince, but because I was waiting on a girl, I missed out on getting tickets. And then a few years later, he died and I never saw him live because I was like, oh, I'm going to wait for her to say when she's ready for sure. She can go. She doesn't sure. Women should know their schedule. So you should have been like, okay, well, are you sure? Are you free this day? I'm sure. Okay, great. So I'm going to get tickets for us. Well, let's wait. Let's confirm a later time. Why can't we confirm now? Like, what does she have on her calendar or doesn't know about that she has to wait to see about? You know, the whole things that happen like that for me is like, sometimes out here in California, I'll apply for clinical trials. And so when you go to apply for a clinical trial, they'll say, okay, great, we're going to hit you up and let you know if you got it. But they don't tell you until like 3 or 4 days before. So that's something where it's like, if I'm dating a girl, I'd say, hey, I want to take you out on this day, but I'm not sure yet if I have a trial. So I will, even then I'll say, I will know for sure on this day whether or not I'm able to do this thing with you if this trial comes through or does not come through, right? But again, that's, you know in advance what's happening. So the woman, if she said that she's free on this day, she should already know her calendar for that day. If she's being wishy-washy, that's when I would start to question if she has high interest. But again, it could be that you didn't ask in the right way, because you need to be able to say, hey, so I want to take you out for this. I'm free on this day to take you out for this play. Are you free to go? Oh, well, I'm not sure yet. Okay, great. When will you be sure? Because I want to get the tickets as soon as possible. So can you check your calendar now, or can you check your calendar and let me know by this day and this time? Like, that's a better way to set up if you're gonna allow her to leave you waiting. But you should not be doing that. You should be already having the plans in place to do the thing. If she's saying she's apprehensive about going or she can't make her wishy-washy, then you have her check her calendar. And if she's not willing to do that, you probably have a wishy-washy girl in your hands. All right. But that's your job to make sure everything is solidified when you're asking for the date. Continuing, he says, I know we've already gone 3 weeks without seeing each other while she was at her family reunion. And it's not like she's coming up with excuses, but I still feel like the vibe she's given off on our dates has been of such high interest that you would find a way to see someone if you were that excited. Well, again, you would, but also, again, she was gone for a family reunion. She just got back. When anybody gets back from vacation, they usually have stuff like that they probably have to get back to or do. So I don't know what the event is she has to go to. I don't know the surgery she's supposed to do, but suffice to say, she could legitimately just have a busy calendar this week. Like, hey, you went out with her last week, fantastic. This week, she's got 3 things on the calendar to do, which means she can't fit you in. Just because I say you should be seeing her on average once a week doesn't mean that's going to happen every week. Sometimes you'll be out of town for a week or 2, you can't make it. Sometimes an event will come up last minute, you can't see her. It's totally fine. Like, it's perfectly okay to not see the person every single week when you're getting to know them. It does not necessarily mean that she's losing interest, okay? Because again, she already counteroffered and said that she'd be available on a certain week to see you. So what we would do is wait until that date comes where she's already said she can go and see if she flakes on that day. Then we can start thinking about, okay, maybe she's losing interest. But right now, you don't have enough evidence to prove that that's the thing actually happening. What's happening is you're anxious and you're wanting to see her, and you've had bad examples in the past where this is going haywire, and so you're not trusting the process. Trust the process, dude. All we care about is that she counteroffer, and is she going to show up for the date that you guys agreed upon? If that happens, then good. But until then, you sitting on your hands for a week and a half worrying about it, it's not going to make her show up for the date or not show up for the date, you know? Continuing, he says, maybe I'm reading too much into it and our schedules just didn't align this week. Yes. Or maybe it's a pull away test to see how I react. This is not a pull away test. Again, you asked her out. She said she couldn't make it, but then she said, but I can do next week. So the fact that she counter-offered means that she's not trying to pull away. It means she legitimately has things to do. But for argument's sake, let's say hypothetically this was possibly, which I don't think it is, but could possibly be a pull-away test. It could be an indication that you're either texting her too much or you're asking her out too much. But either way, you being patient, not being butthurt that you can't see her this week would then allow you to pass the pull-away test. Like, you not being like, oh my God, why can't I see you? We should do this and this. Like, that would be a way you'd pass it, by looking like you're not so over-eager to have to see her this week, right? But her herself, she already said, oh, the date that you said you could see her, she was like, oh, that seems so far away. So that indicates that this is not a pull-away test. She's legitimately busy, dude. Women get busy. So that's it is what it is, you know? He's saying, I'm trying to incorporate all the advice I've learned about female interest in psychology from your shows. Thank you. While also taking into consideration the fact that I'm the first guy she's dated after a long-term relationship, and she's probably not in any rush. It's none of that. It's that she's legitimately busy. She wants to see you. Sometimes, hey, women are busy gals these days. They got jobs. They got things that happen to them. They got other friends to hang out with. They got other family. Like, she has a calendar and a life outside of you, which you should be appreciative of, because I can tell you, as an introvert, me dating people that have lives outside of me is fantastic because I get my alone time. So anytime a girl's like, hey, so I'm going to be doing this thing, or I'm meeting some friends with this, I'm like, please go. Please have a good time. Like, I need you to go because I need you, to not resent me, but also I need my alone time. So that's not a bad thing, but don't think that just because she can't see you a couple of times in a week because she suddenly got busy, does that mean she's pulling away? Again, the test will come when the date that you guys agreed upon, either she shows up or she flakes. That's when you'll know. But until then, this is nothing. This is a nothing burger. You're worried and anxious and whatever, and you're trying to make excuses to this and that. She's busy. It happens to all of us. My question is, how do I react? Given that I rarely ever text, would it be okay to text her on Saturday to wish her a successful surgery? Or do I not say anything and just wait until she confirms the date for March the 11th? So for one, you should have already confirmed the date. That's on you. So if you do happen to want to reach out, you can say, hey, hope all's going well. Just wanted to confirm me getting tickets for this day. Because you got to confirm to get the tickets early anyway. So do that at the very least, right? In terms of the fact that because it's like 2 weeks, I would say, look, real talk, I'm not a big texter. I tend to find that if it's a long stretch of time between when we're going to see each other, I find that once I set the date, usually if women will start texting me, like, it's like, we set a date, we already have some good vibes going. And so they'll send me a meme here or there. They'll send me little emojis and smiley faces. Like, I don't typically tend to reach out. Sporadically, I might send a meme or a funny video, but it might be like, I send her one day and then I wait like another 4 days to send her something else, because I'm not worried that by not texting her, she's losing interest. So because I don't worry about, because that goes into a thing of like, how if I don't do a certain thing, it's going to affect this and this and that. And I just don't buy that. Like, I don't feel as though I don't have to text. I don't feel like I don't have to text the girl all the time in order for her to still have interest in me. So because I don't live like that in my head, I don't typically feel the need to have to text all the time. And I find the women I've dated have been fine with it. And then when we get together, we have a smashing good time. So if nothing else, the delays between dates when I'm not talking to them, it just gives me more to talk about on the date. If you happen to go another week and a half without talking to this chick, okay, when you guys meet up, you have more to talk about. If she doesn't reach out, okay, you have more to talk about. If you decide not to reach out to her, as long as she shows up for the date, all I care about is, does she show up for the date and have a good time? all this talking and stuff in between, it's a nice thing to do, but it's not a necessary thing to do to build attraction. Because if you're asking for a date, on some level, she knows you're already attracted. Otherwise, you wouldn't be sacrificing your time, energy, effort, and money to take her out. Like, women are smart. Women can figure this stuff out, right? So they might be questioning, but how much does he like me? But the important thing is she knows you like her enough to get her out and take her on a date for another try, you know? So don't put all these actions on you, all right? Just wanted to point that out. So hopefully, guy, this helps you out.
You's a bad boy, but you can't stop, won't stop. You a high-earning, high-value, high-class man. You a high-earning, high-value, high-class man. You a high-earning, high-value, high-class man. You a high-class man. You a high-class man. You a high-earning, high-value, high-class